could take quite a bit of time.
Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces. How the fuck you bummy and broke but a pair of races? My lineage free people of color with a left make each nigga. This right here maroon, now it ain't burgundy. If you plotting murder, I'm certain that you'll need surgery. Hurt from when the burner squeeze. Protecting tribe business. Only consulting with governments, tribe to tribe with it. Please don't confuse us with those considered native. Semi-autonomy never was in our nature. Just address me as Esther Lucy. Wild Indian status and Cherokees riding Ruchis. In my war bonnet, if you want it, bring it to your region. And black forces the same color the European. Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Because Joe Biden finally exposed his senility of the debate. Thanks, Joe. I was selected because I am the ultimate diversity hire. I'm both a woman and a person of color. So if you criticize anything I say, you're both sexist and racist. I may not know the first thing about running the country, but remember, that's a good thing if you're a deep state puppet. I had 4 years under the tutelage of the ultimate deep state puppet, a wonderful mentor, Joe Biden. Joe taught me rule number 1, carefully hide your total incompetence. I take insignificant things and I discuss them as if they're significant. And I believe that exploring the significance of the insignificant is in itself significant. Talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time, and there is such great significance to the passage of time. Another trick is trying to sound black. I pretend to celebrate Kwanzaa, and in my speeches, I always do my best Barack Obama impression. So hear me when I say, I know Donald Trump's type. And okay, look, maybe my work addressing the root causes of the border crisis were catastrophic, but my knowledge of international politics is truly shocking. The United States shares a very important relationship, which is an alliance with the Republic of North Korea. It is an alliance that is strong and enduring. And just remember, when voting this November, it is important to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And by what has been, I mean Joe Biden. You think the country went to over the past 4 years? You ain't seen nothing yet.
Give people apparent, transparent about his family.
My partner Gretchen and I are here today because we are parents of a trans child.
Their child is 6 years old, and she was as excited to be at a boring capital on spring break as any 6-year-old kid could be. Squirming and fidgeting her way through speeches, hardly aware her existence as why her parents drove 5 hours today to speak publicly.
It's 100% personal. I mean, the safety, the happiness of our child is it couldn't be more personal.
Asher, why are we here today?
For trans rights.
For her rights to be her.
As you can see from this interview,
I can't force my kids to do anything here. Asher has trusted us enough. She believes in our love enough that she has invited us in to see her whole self. And if we don't love her that much, the opposite would happen, where we wouldn't get to know everything about her. And so we're lucky, we're blessed, and we love her.
So much they came to the People's House this morning to talk about her, the person, in a room reserved for talks about politics.
And there's nothing in this world that I wouldn't do, like Gretchen and I wouldn't do, to protect her and others like her.
In America and how they plan to fundamentally change our society. I was derived from a book called The Naked Communist by W. Cleon Skousen, who was a CIA agent. And you look at those 45 goals, it was things like gaining control of the public school system and the teacher unions so that you could indoctrinate the kids, gaining control of the news media and Hollywood so that you could manipulate the opinions of people, denigrating the role of the family, denigrating the role of the church, getting into the churches and changing the real gospel to the social gospel, making sexual perversion normal, natural, and healthy.
How far away from that are we now, do you think?
It's one of the reasons that Khrushchev was so confident when he talked to Eisenhower and said that your grandchildren's children will live under our system. We won't have to fight a war because we think we won the Cold War. But they had a much better plan on how to actually change this, and we're falling for it.
Nine historically black fraternities and sororities formed more than a century ago when black people couldn't join white organizations. The Divine Nine has been a force in movements from civil rights to voting rights, and they say their political strength will make history once again this election.
Day one, Kamala Harris kicks off with an army. Look at just this force in this room.
Kamala Harris joined Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority in 1986 at Howard University, making her one of the 2.5 million members of the Divine Nine. CNN sat down with a room full of Divine Nine members speaking in their own capacity and not on behalf of their organizations. They're aware of their potential political influence this election, and they're excited to wield it.
2.5 million strong. Now look at how we can reach out to our families, our friends, our churches.
We are the Girl Scout leaders. We are the Boy Scout leaders. We represent every facet of Black America.
We are credible messengers. We have been in the communities. We have been working with these subpopulations, and they trust us.
Harris and her campaign understands the value of this built-in political infrastructure, and they're leaning into it. In July alone, Vice President Harris has spoken at the national conventions for 3 Divine Nine sororities. Harris is poised to leverage this voting bloc at a level we haven't seen from a presidential nominee before.
We're not waiting for someone else to tell us what to do and how to do it. We're creating our own playbook.
What is this going to look like in practical terms?
After church on Sunday, we go downstairs to the fellowship hall and register people that aren't voting. And for those seniors that can't stroll to the polls, we're going downstairs and we're going to get them an absentee ballot.
Knocking on doors, phone calls, text banking.
This coalition is politically sophisticated, digging into strategy for battleground states like Pennsylvania.
We really need turnout in Philadelphia, and we need it in certain pockets.
And sharpening the message to motivate voters.
When we say things like democracy is on the line, I think low propensity voters, they don't know what that means. So we have to have very simple talking points.
We also have white male counterparts that we also need to educate on how overly qualified this candidate is.
What I hear you saying is that the reach of the Divine Nine will not be limited to the Black community.
They believe this political moment will make history for America and the Divine Nine.
What people are going to walk away with is that our organizations are a force to be reckoned with.
Joy to the world, the Lord is come.
Bingo! I got action.
Peace to the party.
It's your homeboy back again with the news. So you know what's up today, y'all. Shout out to everybody tapping in. The question of the day is, who is Tim Walz? So if you've been tuned in already, you see a couple little videos, you know how we do, right? But Kamala, she on the trail, man. She got a campaign out. The strategy is very clear. They coming basically on a gender war, and she gonna play the whole side of being black. You know what I'm saying? It's already plain and clear. They didn't mobilize the Divine Nine, right? We see the play, but we're gonna show you live in action. You know, shout out to the party, man. We're gonna show you a little bit of insight of how we do our research on people. On this gentleman, Tim Walz, right? He Kamala running mate. So we're gonna get into this guy, all right, and we're gonna see what's what. First, like we always gonna do, we start with the other side. Let's hear what the other side got to say, and then we're gonna roll his sleeves up and see what's really under the hood. So hold on.
In D.C., and for that we will get to Megan Casella. Megan.
Hey, good morning, David. We have just learned NBC News has one source reporting that Vice President Kamala Harris has chosen Minnesota Governor Tim Walz to be her running mate. He will be the VP's VP. This caps off just about a 16-day sprint to both secure the nomination for Harris and to choose her a running mate. With this pick, she's really going with someone who campaigned as a moderate and comes off like a moderate, but has governed like a progressive in Minnesota. He passed $1 billion for affordable housing. He passed a tax credit for low-income parents. He's really been in supporting these progressive policies. He campaigned as a moderate, though. He's also a hunter and a gun owner. So with this pick, yeah, he's someone who has sort of taken hold of the youth vote, gotten really popular on the internet. We know that Harris was going with someone who she was hoping would bring her a real electoral bump. With Minnesota, she's not quite getting that.
They say he gonna get a youth vote. Who ever heard of this dude before?
Minnesota has been a reliably blue state since 1972, but he can likely appeal to these Midwest voters who might look at him, a former high school teacher, as well as someone who they can relate to. So we are still learning more about this, but that is one source confirming that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz will be the running mate. David, back over to you guys.
Okay, and not, it's funny, not bringing quite as much youth to the ticket, perhaps, as a Josh Shapiro would have as well.
That's right, and I think that's sort of what they were looking for here. Harris herself does not have a long resume in governing experience. She was only in the Senate for one term before she became the vice president. So I think they were looking for someone here who has a lot of executive experience, who is a little bit older, who has been in politics for a long time. Walz spent 6 terms in the House of Representatives and then became a 2-term governor. Also has that military veteran experience and that school teacher experience that he says has sort of made him this sort of entertaining, plain-spoken, folksy presence. He had to sort of keep the attention of high schoolers for so long. So he has that breadth of experience that I think they were looking for to sort of balance out this ticket just a little bit.
Okay, Megan, thank you.
All right, so you hear what they say, right? So basically a quick breakdown. Buddy is the governor right now in Minnesota. They say he a small town guy from the Midwest, I think Nebraska. We're about to get into that. Was a school teacher. Then all of a sudden got into politics, and we're gonna follow his career up because we're gonna talk about this. Because I'm gonna show you how they have people put into position to run these offices for what they're doing as far as on this federal level, right? So let's get into it. We're gonna do the basic background. So like I said, this is a little insight to kind of how we do it with the party when we researching and everything. You gotta always start with the genealogy and the backstory. All right, so let's start there. I'm gonna get my screen pulled up. We're gonna go to screen 3 and we're gonna walk this down. Hold on. All right, so first things first, we're gonna go to Wiki. Simple little background check, right? Let's see if anything stand out. So this is Timothy James Walz, born on April 6, 1964. In West Point, Nebraska, to Darlene Rose Riemann, a homemaker, and James F. Walz, a teacher, school superintendent, and U.S. Army veteran who served in the Korean War. He is of German and Swedish descent. So let's go check the surname, okay, for his mama. Oh, man, hold on. Oh, we back. We're going to check the surname for his mama, right? Because they say in this certain community, you are what your mama is. They say that in a lot of communities, actually. But let's read about this Riemann surname. It's a German and Jewish surname. So it tell you all the other spellings. And then it is said it is also commonly associated with the Ashkenazi Jews. Certain community that if you say the wrong thing about them, especially within media or anything entertainment, politics, they'll get you up out of here, right? So keep this in mind that they conveniently left out that part, but they said that he was German. So this is a German and Jewish surname, and this is tied to his mama. So already letting you know that he's tied into a certain community. So that's the first things first, okay? So now we back over here to his wiki, right? So remember they say he was a teacher, but it was a teacher. So let's get here. So it say his German great-great-grandfather, Sebastian WALZ, immigrated from Copenhagen to the United States in 1867. Yes, new American, okay? One of his grandmothers was Swedish American. Both of WALZ's parents are Catholic, but WALZ is a Lutheran. See how they playing this game? So that's what you call crypto. Yeah. So he and his three siblings grew up in Valentine, Nebraska, a rural community near Nebraska's northern border with South Dakota, so middle of nowhere. While WALZ was in high school, his father was diagnosed with cancer. After his father's diagnosis, he moved to Butt, Nebraska to be closer to his parents' relatives. So basically, they say he graduated from that high school 1982 with a class of 25 students. Very convenient. Only a small amount of people with nobody. Okay. So then after high school, he was working building tanning beds in a factory. So he was a factory worker at the high school. Nothing special panned out for him, so they say. And he served in the Army National Guard. So this is going to be important. We'll get to that later. All right. So later on, they say he went to get a degree in college and earned a Bachelor of Science in Social Science. So he got a degree in Social Science. Ain't that funny? So the title, you see, he's been accused of being an extreme socialist. Well, he has a degree in social science, okay? So small little college, Chadron State College. So early on, after he graduated, he's a teacher. He took a teaching position in China after he got back from China and coaching in Alliance, Nebraska. They say he was a football coach too. He met his wife, all right? So he was a geography teacher and a football coach. The team had lost 27 straight games when he joined the coaching staff as an assistant. 3 years later, in 1999, the team won his first state championship. So they giving this boy an all-American story already. Grandfather or father was in a war, Army veteran. You was a kid that went to fresh out of high school, got a factory job, and then you lived the American dream all the way to the top. So So here you go right here. So in 1999, WALZ agreed to be the faculty advisor of the first Gay Straight Alliance at Mankato West High School. So in 1999, for those of us who was in school around this time, you know this would have been a very big deal if this had happened at your school, because at this time, that certain community was not popular within school. People just weren't, you know what I'm saying, promoting it like that in school. It was hidden. If you was around this time frame, I'm sure you would agree, right? So, but he hopped on it. So this is very critical for the platform that he's on. Now, y'all make sure y'all walk with me, right? Okay, so this is his background, whole bunch of educational stuff. All right. So then his military service. So they got allegations out there right now. Have you seen, like I've seen, that say that he was capping about his military service? So I want to pull up an article, because basically what we found is it's not that he was lying about being in the military. It's just a very important piece of his job that he was supposed to do. He copped out. So let's read that real quick. And we're going, at the end of this, I got a major, we're going to watch a small video together to show you how under his power in Minnesota, how they're aiding certain programs for supposed to be in the benefit of people that's Black Americans, no matter what your ideology, whether you believe you indigenous, a slave for Africa, a Black European, Hebrew, it's something in it for you that's being given over to people who truly are not from here, and is being used in our name and likeness. So let's get to this right here. Back to the National Guard, right? So they say that he left his battalion hanging, slithered out the door before Iraq deployment. So your homeboy with the news is qualified to speak on this because I am a veteran and I served in this same time frame that he was in. So I can speak to a little bit of the backstory that a lot of people, if they was veterans at this time, they can vouch for no matter what the branch was. So check it out. So it's a veterans have accused Minnesota Governor Tim Walz of embellishing his military career and abandoning his National Guard battalion, highlighting that the now vice presidential pick for the Democrats never served in combat and retired from service ahead of his unit's 2005 deployment to Iraq. In a letter posted to Facebook in 2018 as he first ran for governor, retired Command Sergeants Major Thomas Behrens and Paul Ayer said Walz retired from his 24-year tenure in the National Guard after learning that his battalion would be deployed to Iraq, despite allegedly assuring his fellow troops he would join them. So let's break this down to what they're saying. For one, if you're a National Guard, the people who are active duty consider that to be weekend warriors. No disrespect to anybody who's in the Guard, but if you've been active duty versus any Guard or reserve unit, this is just the facts of the matter, right? It's not an opinion thing. You only show up one weekend a month and a couple weeks out the year. So it's not the same as doing this every day, 24/7 when you active duty. Okay, so despite that fact, what they're saying is the time that the reserves and the Guard become very valuable is during wartime. So everybody knows during this time, anything after 9/11 up until maybe like 4-5 years ago, we've been in the Middle East heavy, Iraq and Afghanistan in particular. So at this time frame, if you joined anytime after 2001, you knew there was a great chance that you were going to be deployed somewhere in this area, no matter what your job was. It just is what it is. And to supplement that, they used the Guard and the reserve. So what they're saying is he was in the Guard all this time before. It was peaceful. They ain't have to deploy. It wasn't much going on. But now that it's time for us to actually have to go out there and put foot to ass and do what we do, right? He conveniently retired, but is using and saying that his unit went there, but he wasn't with them. This is what they're saying. So his own people put this out, who he served with, right? So we just walking down the path for information that was already laid out. Some can say this was a fake story. I don't know why they would paint a fake story to make him look bad, but you had actual people from the military, from his unit, who said this. So this is just a walk into who dude is, right? So if you're a lie about this, what else could be made up? What else could be fabricated, right? And the way that you're moving. So you see they trying to paint him as the American hero. This is the type of narrative they have behind him, all right? So y'all make sure y'all walking to me. So you see what, and then immediately after this, his political career started. So let's go back to his wiki and let's walk the timeline. So in 2005 is when they said that was going on, right? So they telling you a little bit about his career here, boring stuff and stuff what he did, right? So bam, all of a sudden, 2004, he volunteered for John Kerry's presidential campaign. He was inspired to volunteer in the presidential election after he took a group of students to a George W. Bush rally in Mankato and was angered by the securities team's questioning of his students' politics, right? So he was appointed the Kerry campaign's coordinator for his county, as well as the district coordinator of vets for Kerry. So he get appointed right away off the first contact of meeting this man because of this, story of him taking up for some students. Now we watching the Hollywood script now, all right? So this is his first introduction to politics is what they say. So that's in 2004. 2005, he retired from the Guard. And then in 2006, he running for the U.S. House of Representatives, bro. So, man, let's talk about what we saying here. You go from being a rookie politician and all you know is being a teacher. So no corporate experience, no anything of that sort. You just know teaching. You go from that to being a volunteer on a presidential campaign to next thing you know, you're not running for city council or for mayor or for anything like that. You're running for a state representative out of the gate. So this 2006, right? He run for that. And let me see, I think he won. Yeah, he won in 2006. re-elected in 2008. All right. And then let's see, won again in 2010. Then, bro, he was re-elected each time up into 2016. Think about what we saying. So he got this out of nowhere background. He get elected to this position to be a state rep and then hold it consecutively for 10 years. All right. And they say he was winning by a landslide. So check game. So then after that, let's see. We gonna get to, I want to get to when he actually got to governor. So he became governor immediately after that last tenure in 2016, became the governor in 2018. So he just walked his way out from being a school teacher, a so-called unknown school teacher, to becoming the governor within less than a 20-year period. All right, being a rookie in politics with so-called no connections. So this how you walking. So now let's check this out. So while he's in office as the governor, let's look at some of the things that he was a part of, some of his initiatives and things that he passed. It's a reason why they trying to call this dude a socialist and say he on this super crazy liberal stuff. So Tim Walz signed a bill making Minnesota a sanctuary state for child sex changes. So if you saw the video here in the beginning of this live stream, there was a clip of him signing that bill, had some parents there with a child. That was not a spoof. That was real life, right? So with that being said, the reason this is one of his initiatives. So it said newly minted vice presidential candidate Tim Walz signed a bill in April 2023 that made his state a sanctuary for child sex changes, promoting tourism for such radical medical interventions in defiance of states that restrict them. So dubbed the Trans Refuge Bill by supporters, the law grants legal protection to children who travel to Minnesota for so-called gender-affirming care, including puberty blockers, reconstructive genital surgery, and hormone therapy, as well as the medical practitioners who provide it. So this is what Buddy on. So he felt like this was something that needed to be passed on his behalf. So he is the man for the job to make it happen. So this is very convenient, right? Because this is what they say to the Democrat Party, especially with Kamala Harris and the Biden administration. This is the type of policies that they already like. So this guy makes sense and is checking all these boxes. But it's funny because this going against his so-called American hero, man's man background, Buddy on some whole other shit, right? So that's just one piece of this. So now I want to get to the part that's affecting the black people in this country, folks with the black jaws, like that boy Trump say, right? And people who really into genealogy and history. I'm gonna show you how cold this is. So now we go over. So let's look at his stance on immigration. Once we go through all this, it's clear why he was the one that was selected, because he is identical to what Kamala on. We know that Kamala, her husband, is part of what? This same community, the ones you can't speak on, right? This man, his mom is from this same community. Even though they're trying to separate him and act like he's not, it's clear, you are what your mama is, bro. You was raised with your mama. She got the name. We do history and genealogy over here because they hand in hand. So let's go look at his the immigration numbers in Minnesota, right? So the total population of Minnesota in 2023 was 5.7 million. Foreign-born population of Minnesota in 2022 is 500,000. A legal immigrant population of Minnesota in 2019, 81,000. Illegal immigrants now eligible for Minnesota driver's licenses, 80,000 plus. This one is real key in regards to voting. Asylum cases pending a Fort Snelling immigration court, over 38,000. All right. So I'm going to explain what all of this mean here, because this is not a coincidence. And I don't know if any of y'all ever traveled to Minnesota, but I got to fly to the West Coast several times a year. And sometimes I got to have a layover in Minnesota. Nice airport, right? But it was one thing I noticed. The working class in there was a lot of immigrants, like Somali mainly, that was in there. Versus if you come like to Atlanta, you come to Atlanta airport, you got a whole bunch of what they would consider foundational Black Americans, indigenous, slave, ancient, whatever y'all want to call it. majority there. You do got some foreigners there too, but you can tell what type of city you in and who is the working class there versus in Minnesota. I saw Buku Somali there. So they ain't just get there by happenstance. There was a plan behind it, right? So let's talk about that plan. So part of the plan was, some of y'all may have heard of Office of the New Americans. All right. Well, this same buddy right here, right? He opened one. He got one booming in Minnesota, and they doing big business. I'm telling you right now, and I want you to hear from the source. Like you said, you know, we do our research, we show our sources here, right? So this is the Employment and Economic Development for Minnesota right here, Office of New Americans. So let me blow this up some. All right, so what it say? It say about these Office of New Americans is focused on coordinating state government efforts to bring together new Americans, employers, local governments, nonprofits, and other partners to create the welcoming communities we all want and engage all Minnesotans more fully in a successful state economy. These staff in our Office of New Americans serve as the state specialists on issues relating to immigrants, refugees, evacuees, working across state agencies and with the governor's office, as well as with community and business leaders throughout Minnesota to break down barriers and build connections. Our staff plays a significant role in fostering a diverse, equitable, and inclusive society that benefits all Minnesotans. So this is what they're saying. There are special programs, federally funded, might that be, that are given to people not born in this country to make it more inclusive, here is what they say. All right. So let's figure out what some of these things are. So we go here, let's go to their forums. You know, we got to be nosy and see what they're talking about. All right. So in the New American Forums, hold on, we're going to read this real quick. Let me reset. And we're going to get this right. Hold on. Now, I'm just walking y'all down how we do our research. We got to go to the source, because anything government related, they got to put out some type of information. So it says New American Forums. The purpose of the Immigrant and Refugee Affairs Forum is to have a platform that connects state leaders, legislators, and immigrants and refugee communities to help close the communication and working relationship gap, share state resources and policies that help remove barriers, and amplify available or intentional advocacy on creating opportunities for immigrants and refugees in Minnesota. So damn, this would sound real nice in a lot of our communities around here, right? They can just pull up to the rec center in their neighborhood and get assistance on going to school, getting a better job, all these different resources, right? Outside, because this is outside of just the regular employment office, right? It's extra resources and money put behind it. So let's walk it down. So let's talk about the background goal and the outcome. So I say the impact of the pandemic, civil unrest, and distance virtual learning have created new challenges and exacerbated barriers for immigrant and refugee communities. Issues immigrants and refugees in Minnesota's faces are endless. To help close the gap, this platform will be a safe space for immigrants and refugees in Minnesota to come together and unite their efforts and voices towards economic opportunities, education, immigration, and social justice. 2, a place for immigrants and refugees to receive information on state resources and updates on policies and services. And 3, a connector for immigrant and refugee advocates, network, and collaborate. So peep game, this all popped up during the pandemic. Perfect timing for them to implement all these things. This is also when the immigration started going crazy. All of this was by design. So let's go in, and I want to go down to their first recording on record. All right, April of 2021. Now I want to show y'all that the agenda, hold on, that's against us as the so-called Black people in America. I want to show you how they plan on our emotions and our feelings, and really they are setting it people to fail. And it's clear to see this ain't an opinion. So I want you to hear these people and look at them closely and listen to what they say. We're going to play about 5 or 6 minutes of this, and I want you to hear from their mouth. So first, I'm going to start playing this, Y'all let me know if y'all can hear it in the chat, because I think I'm sharing audio, but I want to verify. So I'm finna start playing and let me know if you hear it. If you hear it, put a 1 in the chat.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much for joining us today at this platform. This month's theme is April Tech Month, which is part of the workforce development strategies I'm working on and collaborating with the Career Force teams and consultants on hiring immigrants, refugees, and people of color. My name is Anissa Haji Momin. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Immigrant and Refugee Affairs at Department of Employment and Economic Development, that stands for DEED. This is a forum that's held first Tuesday of the month, 3 to 4:30. And, today is also an exciting time for us because it's the first time our forum is going on live feed throughout DEED's different social media platforms. So I'm grateful to our guest speakers, including Deputy Commissioner of Workforce Development Division, Hamza Warfa, Neela Molgard, Executive Director for DEED's Launch Minnesota, Patricia Fenrick from DHS's Refugee and Resettlement Office, Justin Hubbard from Integris, and Lacey Glonga from Human Resource Diversity and Inclusion Consultant at Excel, who will also have James Houston that will be co-presenting with her. And I was gonna say, just mute yourself, you're not speaking, but because we're on live, Eric will be helping with us, as well as Darren, who's our social media platform manager, that will be kind of helping with the notes and blog that we'll be presenting later on our website. And with that, if you have a question or questions, please post it on the chat box. Once every guest speaker is done with, then we can address. And also I'll put my contact information. So if you have a follow-up information or questions or any other additional resources that you're interested in, just shoot me an email and I'll respond to you. And with that, I'd like to welcome.
So this the dude we want to listen to right here. Listen in to him.
Deputy Commissioner Hamza Warfa to kick us off.
Sure, thanks Anissa. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Excited to be here. It's a beautiful day and beautiful time, but also just want to acknowledge, the moment we are in with the trial going on and the impact it has on all of us. And so just want to start with an acknowledgement of both, the profound, trauma and impact that the trial and the relieved experiences it has for a lot of us, including, and particularly those of us who are coming from the Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities.
You heard what he just said? Let me play that again real quick. Y'all may say I'm lying. So I know it's a delay on this. We're gonna play this back.
Those of us who are coming from the Black, Indigenous, and people of color communities. So grateful that you made time to join us today. I am mostly
know y'all heard what he said.
A quick introduction. My colleagues will be presenting. Will speak about what we're doing on in Tech Month, specifically from a state standpoint. The effort that has been going on, led by our team here. But I thought I'll just share a little bit of personal experience and why I'm excited about technology personally. And I say technology not only as technology as an operational tool, but the technology as a strategic enabler to really move and build a better world. And for me, that meant in 2015, I co-founded a blockchain technology company that is now operating in 42 countries. And what we do in the technology is basically provide a digital identity for women farmers, refugees, people who are disconnected from our global economy. And so by using technology to build a digital transaction-based identity, it's allowing millions of people to have access to the global economy. And so I'm personally excited about this, and as a personal outside of my deed hat, but also in my professional hat here with the agency, we recognize that, we have a significant talent gap when it comes to technology, and our employers, I've had a lot of employer roundtables over the last couple of weeks, and what I hear consistently is, employers looking for talent. We know that, BIPOC, community members are disproportionately underrepresented in the tech industry. And so having a dedicated effort is critical. And this is why last month we released RFP, request for proposal, to pilot a new initiative that will try to close the gap for BIPOC tech entrepreneurs and tech talent for our state. And so the goal is, to explore what can the state do to build and explore and experiment an intentional, dedicated efforts of what kind of a program or infrastructure does our state need. I know a lot of organizations are involved.
So let's break down what he's saying right now. First off, did y'all hear him repeatedly say that I am a Black person of color, indigenous? He knows the speaking point. He knows that this is the classification to be able to get him into these programs that the average true Black, indigenous, American, or however you identify in your ideology, but your people been here for hundreds of years, if not more. You got people that's coming in. You can look at this dude right now. Any Black person in America who grew up in a Black area, if this dude came to your city, he not like us. Tell me I'm lying. Just because his skin color is the same, you can look at everything about him and tell this boy did not grow up in America. No way possible. He's a newcomer. But he is going to benefit in certain areas that are making it programs, instead of the programs being given to the inner city, like how the opportunity zones was working out when Trump was in office, which was set up for our communities where we could have been the ones having these resources. But too many of us didn't even know about it because we going off what the media say to not even like this dude to see what type of policy is going on. When the whole time it was people outside our community who took advantage of them opportunity zones and they came up. Right. But this administration is going after the immigrants and helping them get a leg up. So you may say, hey, I'm just a homeboy with the news. You could think I'm capping. But we done went to the website. They got to make this stuff public record. We sat here and watched them. We sit here and watched their first meeting and what they was talking about. And look, they just wasn't capping. I'm going to show you how. So on the resources section, all right, let's check this out. So let's go to the Emerging Entrepreneur Loan Program. Check this out. Let me make sure y'all can see this. I want to be clear. Okay. So I think this is probably big as I can get it. So it's a Minnesota Emerging Entrepreneur Loan Program. The Minnesota Emerging Entrepreneur Loan Program supports the growth of businesses owned and operated by minorities, low-income persons, women, veterans, and or persons with disabilities. DEED provides funds to a network of nonprofit lenders which use these funds for loans to start up and expanding businesses throughout the state. Additional program goals are to provide jobs for minority and or low-income persons, create and strengthen minority business enterprises, and promote economic development in low-income areas. So let's look at the eligibility and the terms. Term loans available to new and existing business. Must be at least 51% owned and operated by one or more qualifying Minnesotans. Minorities, low-income persons, women, veterans, persons with disabilities. The funding ranges from $5,000 to $150,000. The lender set term and rates not to exceed 4% over the Wall Street Journal prime rate. Private matching funds in the form of debt or equity. Some industry limitations exist. Certain lenders offering alternative financing. So don't just sound pretty sweet. Don't just sound like something every neighborhood, every city in America could take advantage of for their citizens, right? But they have to go and say that it's for minorities, They put a couple different items here, but the key one here is minorities. And the majority of who they want to get these type of loans are clearly set up for the immigrants. You see, this was from the Office of New Americans. This is not, if you want to go into the unemployment office, they're going to show you how to find some type of a job, typically a low wage one. Now, you got a lot of good, to be fair, even no matter what administration is in office, there's always resources that we can be taking advantage of that we simply either don't, or the people that do know about them keep it a secret, because we got a lot of gatekeeping going on, but that's a whole nother story. Point of the matter here is this program is tied into the Office of New Americans to be able to, you just heard old buddy say that he started a tech company. Where do you think he got the bread from to come start a tech company? One thing he said that I do agree with is within the tech space, there's not a wealth of black people, period, like minorities, period, but definitely majority of those minorities are people that look just like him, that's truly from another country, but they get to say they're people of color too. So why would we delineate ourselves into one of these statuses that they created, especially if you believe in reparations? I hear y'all don't know nothing about it to really talk on it. But no matter how you look at it, if your people is from here and you looking for something to be done for you, it is not in your benefit to align with people who are not from here, because their mission is way different. They ain't looking to cause no trouble. They want to come in and get in on the American dream, because no matter what's going on here, it's better than where they coming from. So they gonna get in line and shut up. That's why they like them, right? So these set these programs up for them to get jobs, start businesses, all kind of stuff. You see, they got good jobs now, man. The shit only in Somalia. When you click it, you can't read none of this. Come on, they catering to it and set it up for them. And we just going off one area where your boy Tim Walz from. He made it a sanctuary for all kind of stuff, not just the gender transfer for the kids, bro. It's a major play at hand. And so this how they playing us. They gonna tell us that we need to get the black vote to be in with this, and you literally voting for your own destruction. When they say the black jobs, y'all was trying to get at the man and talk about this, but let's talk, because I'm black, right? So I can speak on this. Right now, we know that in our community, we just not on average making a whole bunch of money. So those lower jobs that where I'm from in Shreveport, Louisiana, an Amazon plant opened up, right? And they didn't know how many jobs was going to be available because the Amazon was playing games in that area, right? But the word got out that it was supposed to be a certain amount of job. And do you know my people was ready to work? They lined up, they deep looking for an opportunity. And this wasn't paying no whole world of a lot of money, but there's plenty of people looking for opportunities. But it's a lot of games being played on American soul for Americans, but they got money for everybody else. I don't know why you would be cool with that, bro. I don't care what you believe in. That hurts your everyday lifestyle. If you and the ones around you can't thrive, that change everything that's going on. So it's a really important time. So I just, we leading y'all to the water for an autonomous conversation. We ain't telling you how to think. Shout out to everybody that pulled up tonight. Y'all know how we do, man. We walk down the sources, gonna give you a little entertainment at the same time, talk how we talk and do what we do. But one thing you can't never say is we didn't do our research. We actually go look for real, go read, do deductive reasoning so we can make our own opinion and we can stand to be corrected. If you bring information that's contrary to what we thought and we check it out and it's to be true, we good with that, bro. Because this is about building and growing and being informed, because it's a war against the mind. So you got to figure out what side you're on. But hey, I appreciate y'all rocking with me, trying to figure out who is Tim Walz. I think it's clear at this point that Buddy definitely got a story out of a movie, and then here he come with all the, like a paid agenda, just falling right in line, just like a puppet would when you propped up, put in position. He gonna be famous for the rest of his life just for being appointed to be in this position, even if they don't win. So this was a power move for him. He can go retire in Congress, ripping off the American people for another 20 years if you want to. Easy. Hey, but the choice is up to y'all, man. We ain't telling you what to do. But that's my time, y'all. So like always, y'all keep it positive. Y'all keep it pushing. I'm out of here, man. Peace.
separate with it. You know I get it with it if she cute with it.
This could take quite a bit of time.
Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces. How the fuck you bummy and broke but a pair of races? My lineage free people of color with a left make each nigga. This right here maroon, now it ain't burgundy. If you plotting murder, I'm certain that you'll need surgery. Hurt from when the burner squeeze. Protecting tribe business. Only consulting with governments tried to tribe with it. Please don't confuse us with those considered native. Semi-autonomy never was in our nature. Just address me as Esther Lusty. Wild Indian status and Cherokees riding Ruchis. In my war bonnet, if you want it, bring it to your region. And black forces the same color the European. Pardon my autonomy. I know one day they'll honor me. This ain't pertaining to 28 Deuteronomy. Self-determination, controlling our situation. Ain't no more indoctrination from pale faces.
Aborigines, which means what? Black folks. You never find a white aborigine. Aborigines are called natives, or they're always dark-skinned people. You and I are aborigines, but you don't like to be called an aborigine.
Whenever I start to feel alone, I just play the voice loud that I say before things change. Now I read the message you sent, trying to tune out when you say I know you love me, but if you just forget